And for more on Pfizer and Allergan's merger and a breakdown of their tax inversion dodge, we're joined by David Nelson, Chief Strategist at Belpointe. David, always good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So this is the biggest inversion deal, as we just saw in the report. Pfizer buying Allergan for $160 billion. Official headquarters are in Ireland, although the executive team will stay in New York. Plenty of operations in the U.S. But effectively, it allows Pfizer to get that very competitive Irish corporate tax rate. And this is one of the few issues that Republicans and Democrats are,
It's interesting.
Are on the same page on. Yeah.
It is. Both sides of the aisle would like to do something about this because, look, it's lost revenue. A lot of money going out the door. Not to even mention the $2 trillion in corporate cash that sits offshore that they'd like to repatriate back to the United States. But in the end, this is about money. And what's going to happen here is, Pfizer's going to take out Allergan, assume their tax rate, redomicile in Ireland, and that means a lot of things for here in the United States that we're going to have to debate.
This still needs to pass regulatory approval. I mean, is there anything that the government can do at this stage,
and there are some that are saying that maybe this deal won't go through. I've looked at it. I think this is going to sneak in under the radar. Look,
under the
well, I guess it's not under the radar. I guess we know it's coming. But 2004, they tried to block this out, making tax inversions illegal, and there were loopholes, and frankly, a lot of corporations were going around those loopholes, and there's a team of tax accountants and tax attorneys that can get through this stuff. Treasury stepped in, tried to pass some new rules, but the way it's structured now, it looks like of the combined entity, Pfizer's going to represent about 57%, Allergan about 43% of the combined entity. I think that can skate through, and if they're going to change this, they're going to have to actually change legislation. Treasury can't do it on their own.
Well, speaking of changing legislation, Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton, she's been very vocal against this deal.
It's a populist topic, sure.
She's saying that that's going to be her priority, changing the tax inversion loopholes. On the other end of the aisle, we've got the Republican frontrunner, Donald Trump. He's on the same page. He's calling this disgusting. But he's long advocated an overhaul of corporate tax. And if you look at the numbers, I mean, the U.S. top tax rate is 39%. In Ireland, it's 12.5%. Pfizer's going to probably land up paying a 17, 18% as opposed to the 25% that it pays here. So really, is the solution changing the corporate tax rate in the U.S.?
I think it's even larger than that. I think actually, full comprehensive tax reform is really the issue here. Look, capital goes to where it's taxed the least, and capital is very competitive right now. And a lot of countries around the world would like to see companies domicile and take in some of that money. For Ireland, look, they get a definite benefit. 80% of the corporate taxes they receive are from multinationals, just like Pfizer. So we're going to see more of this, and that's the divide right now between the Republicans and Democrats.
And if the U.S. does cut its corporate tax rate to be more competitive, do we perhaps risk sort of creating this climate where countries slash their corporate tax rate, a race to the bottom, if you will, to be more competitive? I mean, is that a possibility?
That's a tough question to answer. Obviously, it's very low in Ireland, but at least to date, they must feel it's profitable for them. They must feel they get more revenue. Other countries do the same thing. And for U.S. corporations here, it's just more attractive overseas.
Well, many are saying that this is very unpatriotic, but I mean, this is just good business sense. It could be argued that this is very American. It's capitalism in its purest form. They're going to save a lot of money, and they're going to use that to expand the operations. The Pfizer CEO, Ian Reid, says, we'll maintain our global operational headquarters in New York. At the time we close the transaction, there'll be 40,000 employees across 25 states, and we will be gaining greater access to resources that will enable us to make significant investments in the U.S.
I get that. The CEOs have been on the circuit, and that's a great story to tell, and they want to present it from their point of view. Look, is it unpatriotic? Yeah, probably it is. But the last time I looked, corporations aren't about patriotism. They're about the bottom line. And if you want to keep that capital here in the United States, you're going to have to create a more attractive environment for them, or you're going to have to actually change the legislation. I think the better way is to change the corporate tax structure as it exists now.
Well, many are saying it's not fair that the CEO be vilified, but the focus is also on the consumers. I mean, Pfizer makes everything from Advil to Viagra, and of course, Allergan, known for its Botox to both medical and cosmetic purposes. How does all of this impact the consumer?
Well, first off, it affects us all. It means our taxes will go up. If they're paying less taxes, somebody's going to have to pay more, and that's probably the U.S. citizen. And that's probably the bad part of this. In terms of how it directly affects the consumer, I don't think it affects anything on the product side. I don't think these companies are going to be any more efficient. Yeah, they're going to save some money by reducing H&R, and if anything, it's probably going to be lost jobs both here in the United States and even in Ireland as well.